Welcome to Kitchen Table Progressive. Paul Richardson here, along with Joyce Nance, inviting you to join us for an hour of casual conversation where the menu is progressive and the table manners are decidedly liberal. We hope you'll find the discussion enlightening and entertaining, insightful, informative, and humorous. On today's program, America's Billionaires. Are we catering to a bunch of rich, spoiled brats? The Supreme Court. Is the court succumbing to influence and corruption, and are they even doing their job? Congressional censorships. Adam Schiff was censored this week. Does this mean anything real, or is it just a whole lot of hoopla? And our weekly trivia questions with Joyce Nance. And here's Joyce. So quite a week this week. Speaking of the billionaires, I know you have something to say about, our billionaire submarine captain or whatever it was. We have billionaires going to space. We have billionaires going under the sea to see the Titanic. We have, as I looked up, 614 billionaires in the United States. I just looked it up. 2,755 billionaires in the world. About 23% of them live in the United States. 614 live in the United States. So that's about 23%.
All right. That seems fair.
That seems fair. Well, except we only have 4% of the population. The billionaires own twice as much.
Yeah, we're the most important. Come on.
Yeah. Well, the billionaires own twice as much as the rest of the world combined. And by the way, in the United States, a quick calculation I did, 614 billionaires out of 332,278,200 people is 1/10,000th of 1%. They are statistically insignificant as a population, yet so much of all of our public policies
or
around them.
AKA the same percentage that Wells Fargo will pay you on your savings account, even though the federal interest rate is around 7% now.
Right.
It's 0.001. That's what you're talking about, or 0.1%. And that's the percentage of billionaires, and that's the percentage that regular people get on their money.
Yeah, that's yeah. They are 614. It's incredible what we do. And so about the submarine, the submersible, I guess it's called. This was a bizarre story in the sense that. Okay, so this they went down to.
So Paul, I want to give some background on the head of this latest fiasco. Okay. We can call it, because I don't think you can understand how everything unfolded unless you understand him. So his name, the CEO of the company, recently deceased, is or was Richard Stockton Rush III. As you might have guessed, he was born into a very wealthy San Francisco family. Mm-hmm. He was the grandson of Ralph K. Davies, who made all his money or most of his money in oil in the early days.
Of course.
That was his grandpa, so I'm going to guess that was around the turn of the century or something like that.
And how old is this guy? Is he in his 70s?
He was which one? The third? Richard?
No, the captain of this the submersible.
The CEO. He was 61.
Okay.
He will freeze at 61, or implode, as the case may be.
So his great grandfather probably made the money, right?
No, his grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was around probably in the 20s and 30s.
Maybe.
Because he's same age as my grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but basically, he's named after him, right? Because he's the third, and it was Grandpa. So, anyways, their name is very prominent in San Francisco as we speak today.
No.
There's a symphony hall in San Francisco named after his grandma, Louise Davies. And also, just as a kicker, he is a descendant of two signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, are you? So he deserves that money.
I wonder if he's related to Benjamin Rush. Is he?
I didn't get the detail of who his
I wonder if he is.
relative was, but in any case, so back to more information on him. As a kid, he wanted to be an astronaut, and once he was an astronaut, he wanted to be the first person on Mars. So that didn't happen. He took up scuba diving at 12 and got his commercial pilot's license at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are things you can do when money is no object.
Right.
Like I remember when I was 12, I was trying to get my mom to give me a swimming lesson.
When I was 12, I thought it was going to be nearly impossible when my mom told I wanted an electric guitar, which was going to be $150. And my mom said that I could have one if I could come up with half the money. And when I was 12, even $75 seemed an impossible sum. You know, as a seventh grader, I tried to get a paper. I did it was just like, well, how long is it going to take me to make $75 delivering papers at, 5, 10
2
bucks.
cents a paper.
Yeah, right. It was, yeah, exactly.
Well, my mom did buy me an electric guitar maybe when I was around 12, but she bought it with blue chip stamps.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Anyways, let's see. He got a BS in aerospace engineering from Princeton, which is also somewhere you can go when you have a lot of money. And if you don't have the grades to get in, no worries. And then he got an MBA from Berkeley, UC Berkeley. He also ended up, I'm just throwing this in, he ended up moving to the Great Northwest, Kirkland.
Oh, you did?
Yep. So I assume that's where his family lives right now, or his immediate family. In 2007, he wanted to buy a submersible for his own because he had the money. But it turned out he could not buy one because there was only 100 of them available worldwide, and there were none for sale. So what does any aspiring aerospace engineer from Princeton and all that do? Well, he just built his own from blueprints provided to him by a retired U.S. Navy submarine commander. I'm sure it was great. It only went 30 feet down, but still, that's not nothing.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how many times it went 30 feet down, but even if it didn't do anything, you could still swim back up at 30 feet.
That's true.
Yeah. So he was led to believe from his submersible experience that he was gaining that there was an unwarranted reputation, that they were unwarranted reputation as dangerous vehicles because some of them had failed. And he didn't like the Passenger Vessel and Safety Act of 1993, U.S. law regulating the construction of commercial vessels. They needlessly prioritize safety, passenger safety, over commercial innovation.
Oh, well, that's over innovation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Innovation is the, well, is there a reason why this is called a submersible and not a submarine? Is that?
I think the submarine thing is, I didn't look it up, but I think it's just a Navy word.
Oh, okay.
And they usually carry, they're different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your viewings of various submarines. I mean, I've been in I've been into like dry dock ones and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I've been in one.
They were more like a condo.
Yeah.
But for multiple people. So, and I don't know that submarines necessarily go down that deep.
Oh.
Like regular. Like I think they're below the water, but I don't think they're 2 miles below the water. Like
No.
They were going on that bad day.
Right. So had they? Did it say whether or not they've ever been this deep before?
I'm getting there. Okay. So Richard Stockton Rush III said on a 2022 podcast about safety precautions, you probably heard this one, at some point, safety just is a pure waste. I mean, if you want to be super safe, don't get out of bed.
Oh.
But by 2023, he had made over a dozen trips to view the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot. Mm-hmm. And also, and this is just the last little bit of trivia, Richard Stockton Rush III was married to Wendy Weil, who is a great-great-granddaughter of Isidore and Ida Blunn Strauss, both of whom died in the sinking of the Titanic.
Oh, are you serious?
I wish I was not.
Oh,
isn't that beyond the pale?
That's
beyond the pale.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So he's really fascinated with the Titanic, and this was just a sightseeing, and the other people had no. He was the captain of this thing, or the operator of this submersible, but the other people were just on boards. They were I don't know how to describe, just people who were on the job. How many were there? 5?
We forgot to say our safe word, but right now, Alaska, aka 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, so there were 5 people, a few people who no one knew how to manipulate this thing, and yet there was countless international funds spent, and the Coast Guard out. I have to guess that there were orders given. There were orders given that for the Coast Guard to go into these international waters, that would have, that somebody had to give orders to go looking for these people, and apparently it sounds like the submersible was lost within a very short time after leaving the mother vessel, right? So right. It's kind of interesting that
they were actually almost there.
Right. They almost made it all the way to okay, and then catastrophic.
Yeah.
You're listening to Kitchen Table Progressive here on WCPT AM 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Back with you here on Kitchen Table Progressive. here on WCPT, AM 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Speaking of billionaires, the Supreme Court this week, there was a little dust up with Justice Samuel Alito is the newest or the next in line to be, well, I don't know if he's being accused of corruption, but certainly not only accused, but cited for, or by, at least by, I think it was it ProPublica who published an article?
ProPublica.
Yeah, who published an article saying that he had taken, it was a chartered air flight to Alaska to go on a big fishing trip with a, say it, billionaire, right? And
the billionaire was Paul Singer.
Paul Singer. Mm-hmm. That's right. I'd forgotten that name. Paul Singer. Who did actually have business before the court at some point. And this took place back in 2008, right? Or 2007. Samuel Alito did not report the gift or this I guess it's a hospitality, even though that the round trip airfare would be a value of something like on a chartered flight $200,000. Alito,
and also Paul, a charter fare is not considered a hospitality. It's like dinner, room.
Right.
Yeah, it's technical. It doesn't meet the technical definition.
Right. It's actually a facility, right? Yeah, that's right.
Straight up gift.
Yeah, it's a gift. But there are a couple things that I thought was just totally brazen is that Alito published an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal saying that ProPublica misleads its listeners or its readers before the ProPublica article had even been published. He's got to get out in front of this story, and then he says he makes these lame excuses like, well, the seat would have gone vacant or empty anyway, which is just
nobody offered it to me.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody. That's
the ad in Facebook Marketplace.
Why would it have been vacant? I don't understand why. First of all, why he makes that assertion, and then the other thing is, does this Paul Singer, if he does something like that, does he have by offering it to Samuel Alito or anyone, does he get some kind of a write-off for it as a gift?
Well, no. In terms of taxes, the giver is the one responsible for declaring the gift that they made.
And paying the gift tax.
And paying the gift tax, if there is any, which there would be.
So it not only costs Paul Singer the value of the charter of the fare, it also cost him money as a gift tax, which he was willing to pay.
If he declared it.
Yeah, if he declared it, right. I mean, but of course they have ways of cleaning that up. I find that just this kind of arrogance that Clarence Thomas, I mean, we have to look at it this way. A Supreme Court justice makes $265,000 a year. Now, Clarence Thomas got a gift that he thought was hospitality that was $500,000. So a gift that is almost twice your annual salary. You don't think you don't need to declare that it's hospitality. And then here, Samuel Alito, a $200,000. Well, by the way, by the time you count in the cost of not only just the airfare, but being at the lodge, the whole, I mean, that had to be thousands. That's almost the value of the whole trip was probably worth a year's salary of a Supreme Court justice. And it seems unbelievable to me, honestly, that the way almost every profession now is, I mean, I'm familiar with education. I'm familiar with being a mediator and arbitrator, lawyers, everybody. Ethics is one of the big things. And it's all of this conflict of interest has got to be absolutely avoided.
The ethics are for the common man.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah.
But the Supreme Court justices are subject to same ethic rules as all the other federal judges, but they are in charge of judging themselves.
Yeah.
So
they have, yeah.
Justice Roberts won't investigate.
No, well, John Roberts' wife is involved with there's just too much, again, and Billionaires involved. There's Leonard Leo, who's the Federalist Society. They have kind of a farm club where they kind of pre-interview federal judges to say, oh yeah, you're the kind that we're going to recommend, and then they try to get somebody like Trump it's not really the president who's making at least not on the Republican side, who's making these appointments. It's the influence of the billionaire class as to who they want, and it's the kind of arrogance that goes into this sort of thing is the same kind of arrogance, by the way, that the court is come to know, and it's just running its day-to-day business.
So a former governor ethics lawyer with the Clinton, I don't have his name, but with Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington said a private plane trip was not an acceptable, a private plane trip being served with $1,000 bottles of wine was not an acceptable gift. And Alito's rebuttal was the wine did not either cost $1,000.
It did not either. It did not either cost $1,000.
Well, I added either, but it was like that. It was like, oh yeah, I did all that, but no.
Yeah, but it wasn't that much. No, we ate freeze-dried backpacking food, right?
Congrats.
Sure you did. Oh yeah, that Mountain House stuff is pretty good, actually. I mean, I kind of like it.
Yeah. And he was when the guy was giving the gift, Paul Singer, to Alito, they were actually not before, not after, but in the midst of a case that involved Paul Singer.
Yeah.
At the time.
And Alito said that he didn't realize that the case had anything to do with Paul Singer.
Yes, he did. He said he was never aware between connections between Singer's businesses and cases before him. And why should he look it up? Like,
why should
he have to do a radio show?
Right. And yeah, right. Right. Why should he look it up? And by the way, not just him. I mean, he has law clerks who this cannot have escaped them.
Yeah, well, he has not law clerks. I mean, it's the cadre of law clerks.
Oh, it's
They have that whole building there.
Dozens. He has,
and so each one of them has people, and their people have people, and the people's people have people.
Right. And do you think that they didn't know who the litigants were? Really, who the people are? Oh, I didn't know. All they knew was the fight.
I can tell you is when I have gone to law firms anytime in, I don't know, last 10 years, 20 years, for them to even take my case, they have to go through all their files to see if there's any conflict
of interest.
Right. And the person that I want to get into it with.
Right, exactly right.
That's just some regular, arguing about something stupid thing.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, and that's what lawyers do. That's what arbitrators do, and mediators do. You have to look up. That's a kind of discovery in itself as to whether there's a conflict of interest that they might have, and it's just unbelievable that they wouldn't know that. Now, here's the thing about the way the court's doing its business. John Roberts. This quote is a tribute to him. When he was a law clerk for Antonin Scalia, he said this. He said, The generally accepted notion that the court can only hear roughly 150 cases each term gives the same sense of assurance as when the court adjourns in July and the Constitution is safe for the summer. Now, there's a couple of things to unpack there. The first one is that in the 1980s, the court was hearing 150 cases per term. That's from
Alaska.
Yeah. And that
Are you sure that's less obtrusive than 30 seconds? But go ahead.
What? Anyway, now the court is hearing in the last 3 sessions, not including this year, 2022, 23. In 2019, the court heard 53 cases. 2020. So they are really not even doing their jobs. They're cutting the cases. You're listening to Kitchen Table Progressive here on WCPT AM 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. All right, back with you here on Kitchen Table Progressive, WCPT AM 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. So this week, Congress, the Republicans in Congress censured Republican Congressman Adam Schiff for his role in impeaching Donald Trump, being part of the impeachment committee when the Democrats controlled the House, and also his role in, I guess it was that, and his accusations that Trump was involved, that Russia was involved in the 2016 interference in the 2016 election, right? Were those
the accusation was the 2016 Russia thing and the first impeachment.
Right. So that he was bad, that he did that. So he should be censured. So then
Paul, before you even go there, you should have some of the examples of the other impeachments that you already found somewhere. I don't know where they are, but
let me
I lost them. Never mind.
Okay. I'll talk about a couple of them. So,
they're not equal.
No, they're not. Let me just say that so Article 1 of the Constitution, Article 1, Section 5, allows each chamber of Congress, the House and the Senate, to make its own rules and essentially discipline its own members. So there have been 5 members of the House in our history. 5 have been, they can actually, with a 2/3 majority, either remove the member from Congress, or they can, with a 2/3 majority, censure the member, which is a reprimand. In our history, 5 members of Congress have been removed, and those were mostly, as I remember, I don't have the note right in front of me, but were during the Civil War. Those were kind of Confederate sympathizers, and they were these happened during the Civil War. 9 members of the Senate have been removed, which is kind of surprising that more senators have been removed. And there have been, in the House censures, there have been 25. Was it 25? Yeah, 25 censures. I think it's 25 or 26 in the House. Most of those, again, were during Civil War times, and the last 40 years, or let's say since 1979, I found 7. So the names I don't remember.
I found it.
Okay.
In 1979, Charles Diggs.
Right.
Payroll fraud and mail fraud.
Right. Payroll fraud and mail fraud. Okay. Yeah. Fraud.
They're actual crimes.
Yeah. These are actual crimes. Okay. Yeah.
1979, Daniel Flood. We don't have what he did, but I'm going to guess it was along those lines. 1980, Charles Wilson, improper use of campaign funds.
Yeah.
Again, actual crime.
Financial corruption. Yeah.
1983, Daniel B. Crane, engaging in sexual conduct with the House page.
Oh.
I don't know if that's an actual crime, but
no, it's a crime. Yeah.
Clinton got impeached about something similar.
Right.
Which is a lot more than censorship. Charlie Rangel, improper solicitation. This is 2010.
Right.
Charlie Rangel, improper solicitation of funds, making inaccurate financial disclosure statements, and failure to pay taxes. Okay, that's
crime.
crime.
Right.
And then 2021, Paul Gosar, the fun dentist, posting anime video on social media depicting himself committing violence against AOC,
Right.
And President Biden. And it was pretty ridiculously horrible.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't a crime, but
no, it was.
It was, and maybe he shouldn't have got censored for that. Whatever the step down from censure is probably what he should have got for that.
Oh, I don't know. I think when you're depicting violence against another member of
well,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, if you take it as a threat, then yeah.
No, I absolutely think that's why that's the reason the House has become so dysfunctional, is that the people think that, you know, this sort of just things that are nearly threats. I mean, this was kind of like, wasn't it?
Okay, so you can see everything before Trump were regular crimes. Mm-hmm. And then everything after him was either like psycho stuff or revenge.
Well, yeah, but look at, here's what I noticed in terms of its meaning, whether it's meaningful. In that, because you have the sheet there, look at the votes. I showed the votes, right? What the vote?
I don't have the votes.
Okay, well, in the ones in 79 and 83, those 4, the votes were huge, like 400 to 2, right? 400 and something to. In other words, it was
both sides.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and not only that, the 3 of the first 4, or maybe the 79, then there was one in 80, and then there was one in 83. 3 of those were Democrats. Well, at that time, the Democrats controlled the House. So Democrats were all on board every Democrat voted to censor. And so I think these people, I can't say for sure, but I don't think that they returned to Congress. That these were crimes, and they probably had to own up to those with the law, and they didn't return to Congress. I can't say that for sure.
Gosar was reelected.
No, but I'm talking about in the 79 and 80.
In the good old days, yeah.
Yeah, and also Charlie Rangel lost his seat, and I do remember that. He didn't come back. He was not, and that because 2010 when he was censured was also the Tea Party revolution, so he was gone after that. So when there was a majority, when there was crimes and stuff like that, and there was a majority, even the party in control censoring their own member, that person was gone. And now the last two, if you look, the votes were very narrow. Gosar was like 207 to 223, something like that.
It was mainly party lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing with this one. And so because Paul Gosar has been reelected because
with Schiff, it was completely party lines.
Totally.
The only people that didn't vote to censor were people that voted present.
Right, and I don't know if those were Democrats.
They were all Republicans.
They were all Republicans. Yeah, because there must have been a few Democrats that weren't there.
Well, that's probable.
Yeah, because there's 213 Democrats. The composition is 213 to 2. Yeah.
And they already know what the vote's going to be. So, if you're like sick in the hospital, you're not going to have them airlift you there for your vote.
So yeah, there were, okay, let's see if it was 209 to 213, and there are 222 Republicans, 6 of them voted present. So they were missing 3 people, and the Democrats were missing 4 in that vote. That was, strictly along party lines. So I don't expect that Adam Schiff will suffer any consequences from this.
He's fundraising on it, and you shouldn't forget to mention what happened when Kevin McCarthy was trying to do the formal censorship.
Well, maybe you could remind me since you're on. What is it that you wanted?
Well,
there's one thing I wanted to mention that was funny.
Oh, well, when it was time to come in front of the chamber to formally censor Schiff, it turned into the Democrats not allowing McCarthy to speak. They just started clapping and chanting, "No, shame," and Adam.
Oh, I think they chanted shame after the vote was taken.
No, that when McCarthy was trying to speak.
Oh, so they were, yeah. And then he was gabbling, and then the funniest part was he was gabbling, and then he went, shh.
Seriously?
Kevin McCarthy did. He shushed the House. He said he went shh. Class. Reminded me of the Cheech and Chong one where Sister Mary Elephant was shut up.
Yeah, I know that. Okay. 10 seconds to Alaska.
10 seconds to Alaska. Well, anyway, I think that the censoring is not something that really it's Taylor Green and Lauren Boebert quoting the Bible to us, which I don't know that we need some high school dropout pole dancing Lauren Boebert quoting the Bible to us, the scriptures of Jesus to us. But it seems like it was just a lot of high school stuff. Anyway, you're listening to Kitchen Table Progressive here on WCPT AM 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. All right. Kitchen Table Progressive back with you. Paul Richardson here with Joyce Nance here on WCPT AM 820 Chicago Progressive Talk. So we have each week, I think we're going to have a trivia question contest for you, something that you can participate in. And we have some questions that Joyce will be reading to you, and hopefully you'll be able to participate by going to our website. By the way, Joyce, why don't you tell people how else can the listeners check out the show?
Well, as soon as we get our website finished, it might actually partially be published, but it's a lot of gibberish. If you don't mind gibberish, go right to it. Otherwise, wait a little while. But it is called kitchentableprogressive.com.
Okay. And we have a YouTube channel, do we?
We have a YouTube channel. That one might be called Kitchen Table Progressive, or it might be called Kitchen Table Progressives, but I will make it conform
to, okay. So
yeah. And also a Facebook page. So
Kitchen Table Progressive Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it should be playing on both of them right this second. It won't be live when we start for real, but
Okay.
be like you're there. We'll keep in all the mistakes so you can feel like it's live.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
And maybe I'll add a couple of extra just so you're convinced that it is.
Yeah. Well, that would be nice.
Totally edited that out.
The more mistakes, the better. I mean, it makes it seem like reality.
I know, because at some point we'll have a trivia question of name the mistakes made during the show today.
Oh.
And also I have like a little allergy cold thing in case you're wondering why I sound like I've been on the campaign trail. But if it gets too hoarse, I'll get Hillary to fill in for me, and it'll be like 2008 all over again. I don't remember what it was, but she would do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So we're just going to do this, and we'll see how it works. In our opinion,
okay.
No need to voice your opinion because it's our show.
Right.
When it has your name in the title, then go ahead with your opinion. All right. These are the trivia questions for today. First, I'll read the questions.
All right.
And when we have our real one, there'll be 4 answers. But, due to the writer's strike and budgetary problems, we only have 1 answer today. So you're going to have to write it in. Feel free to play along at home. It won't be exactly like this in the future, but it will involve questions and it will involve answers. All right.
Real questions and real answers.
Well, I'm not going to go that far.
Okay.
But, in any case,
with there could be alternative answers and alternative facts as well.
All right. Well, you go to some damn alternative radio station for that. All right. Now, question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the only president, and I mean the only president at this time to be elected to 2 separate non-consecutive terms?
Well,
no answers. No,
okay.
You don't get to give.
I don't get to comment at all.
You can comment when we do the answers. Okay. Question number 2. Right. Who is the only president to be elected to 4 consecutive terms? Hold your answer.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
All right, you in the back.
Oh, Mr. Joyce. Oh, Mr. Joyce.
All right, can you step outside, please? All right.
Into the hallway.
What do John Adams and Thomas Jefferson have in common? All right. There could be a lot of things, but we're looking for one specific answer, of which we're not going to give you any hint whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Question 4. Which presidents were killed by assassins?
Ooh.
We're going to give you some choices on this one. I don't know why, but
okay.
Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, he's changed his name after death, William McKinley, and John F. Kennedy. No relations to Robert F. Kennedy. Who Jr. Who is the only number 5? Who is the only president to serve as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? All right, just keep all your answers right in your brain. All right, you can write them down. Okay. Number 6. Which presidents were actually never elected to office? Again, we're going to give you some choices. George Washington, John Tyler, Millard Fillmore, Andrew Johnson, Chester A. Arthur, Gerald Ford. All right, and we're not even going to tell you how many there were. All right, now, oh wait, that was the answer. I didn't know
that was the answer. I think.
Okay. All right. Well, if you wrote them down, good for you. But I'll give it to you again. All right. The question writer is oblique in his answer.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that word means. Which 3 presidents were impeached?
Oh.
Yeah. Which?
I know one of them.
Okay. Do you? Which presidents have a monument or memorial erected in their honor in Washington, D.C.? That's number 8. Number 9. Which president's faces are carved in Mount Rushmore? Okay. It's not who you think. Number 10. Which 2 presidents appointed 3 Supreme Court justices in their only term of office? Okay, so those are all the questions, and some of them I secretly gave the answers to, but that was for you to figure out that I was doing that. So now,
right, you can't.
No playing it back. All right, so here we go. All right, so we're going to give you the answers this time around because actually, when do we go out at the end of the show? I don't have that written down.
52:30.
52:30. Okay.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, then read them and we'll. Okay.
Okay. So, who is the only president to be elected to 2 separate non-consecutive terms? You.
Me and the. Okay. Oh,
yeah. You.
That would have been Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and the 24th president, and he'd served his first term from 1880. Wait a minute.
Forget about that. Tell us why he was interrupted.
Oh, he was interrupted because Benjamin Harrison was elected to be the 23rd president.
Why did he beat him out?
I don't know. Why did Harrison? It was his all his economic promises, but Harrison raised tariffs, and people didn't like that. They wanted to buy things, and so they went back to Cleveland. Benjamin Harrison was not a very good president.
All right, take that, Benjamin.
Take that.
Number 2, who is the only president to be elected 4 consecutive terms?
Well, of course, that would have been the 32nd president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was elected in 1932, and he served until his death on April 12th, 1945. His term would have run until 1940, actually technically 49, but Harry S. Truman took over in 45 and would have been disqualified, by the way, under the 22nd Amendment from running because he had served more than half of one of Roosevelt's 4th term. He served from 45 to 48, and that was 3 years because really
they hadn't made that law yet.
No, they hadn't passed the 22nd Amendment. And actually, because of the way the 22nd Amendment was passed, Truman could have run again. He could have actually run because it didn't. The amendment states that it doesn't apply to this president when it was proposed or when it was ratified. So that would have applied to Truman.
Well, Truman probably thought, well, I've already got my face on the dime, and that's enough. Anyways, all right. Question number 3. What do John Adams and Thomas Jefferson have in common? And this is, I'm sure there's more than one answer, but
yeah, other than their powdered wigs, they both died on the 4th of July, 1826. Jefferson was the first to die that day, dying sometime in the late afternoon, and Adams died later in the evening.
Okay, but there were actually several other presidents and Benjamin Franklin that died on July 4th, not John.
Yeah, well, there's one other president. James Monroe died on July 4th, 1831, and I don't know if did Ben Franklin die on July 4th?
I believe he did, but
Calvin Coolidge was born on 4th of July, but I don't know about. I have to check that out
because he was
okay.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
All right. He was.
Number 4, which presidents were killed by assassins? Which I already said, but for bonus points, give us the name of the assassin. Go.
Oh, I can give it. Abraham Lincoln was killed by John Wilkes Booth. James A. Garfield was killed by Charles Guiteau. McKinley was killed by Leon Shalosky, and John F. Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald.
So they say, or was
so
it?
They say. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Number 5. Who is the only president to have served as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? And was it before or after he was president?
It was after. William Howard Taft served after he was president. The big man.
What president was he?
He was the 27th president, and he was the 10th Supreme Court Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
And that just shows you how life terms can trump, no pun invented.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so why don't they make Trump a judge?
Oh, God.
All right, that'll get him out of our hair. Tell him it involves, free flights to vacation resorts. Which presidents were actually never elected to office? Which I also already said, but our big-brained answer guy in the back of the room will tell you why they were not elected to office. Go.
Oh, because they ascended to the.
Tell me one at a time. Who's
I would have to say the first one was John Tyler.
No. George Washington.
Oh, that's right, George Washington, because he was unanimously appointed by Congress, and he accepted the appointment for the first president. John Tyler ascended after the death of William Henry Harrison. Millard Fillmore ascended to it after the death of Zachary Taylor, the 12th president. Andrew Johnson ascended to the presidency after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And Chester A. Arthur ascended to the presidency after the assassination of James A. Garfield, and Gerald Ford ascended to the presidency after the resignation of Richard M. Nixon.
Tricky Dick. All right, and we're going to have to go fast for these last 3. Which 3 presidents were impeached?
That would have been Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump impeached twice.
Okay, Johnson deserved it. Clinton did not. Trump deserved it twice. All right. Number 8, which presidents have a monument on memorial erected in their honor in Washington, D.C.?
That'd be George Washington, the Washington Monument. Abraham Lincoln has the Lincoln Memorial, and there's the Thomas Jefferson, the Jefferson Memorial.
We were supposed to go out 2 minutes ago. All right, let's sum it up.
Okay, hit it.
Oh, yeah, right. Once I mess up, I'm going to make sure I mess up on every little thing.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us. You can Join us on our website. Check us out at kitchentableprogressive.com. You can go to our YouTube channel, Kitchen Table Progressive. And we will be back next week, next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time. Join us for Kitchen Table Progressive here on WCEP AM 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Now?
Yeah.